This is Chaya, and she's coming to ask about career. So
Yes.
Chaya, before we hopped on, I pulled a couple of Lenormand cards for you. I don't know if you know what Lenormand is, but it's a version of card reading that's like from the 1800s. And it normally traditionally uses a regular deck of cards, but people have updated it to include like the fancy pictures on it. And what I basically picked up is that you are loyal and happy where you are at the moment, right? You're pretty happy with where you are.
Hmm.
I'm just like reaching up and looking over to remind myself. But I feel like there's a transition that could be in the offing for you, and that there's a crossroads that you're coming to.
Hmm.
And your options are good, right? You have two pretty good options. One would be more visibility, a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more power, a little bit more on your shoulders. And the
Hmm.
other one feels, I want to say, a little too dreamy to be real. That there's this moment where you're just like, this is really what I want, but what happens at the bottom falls out on this. And so as you're standing at this, I think you're looking at it in a very practical way.
Hmm.
I think you're looking at it as prestige, responsibility, promotion, money, right? I feel like there's money in this one. And I feel like on this side, it's the dreamy side, right? It's like it's more risky. It's more in tune with who you are. It's more in tune with what you want. It's more in tune with like you as a soul and a being trying to like flourish in this lifetime to be happy and do what will make you sing and soar. And like, but there isn't any guarantee on the money on this side. Like I'm
Right.
feeling like this is super risky, but dreamy. And then on the other side, it's like super practical and the responsible side. And you are feeling really torn in half at the moment.
Yeah.
Am I reading this all correctly?
Yeah. Like 100%.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that encouragement. I appreciate that. So the words that are coming in my head now are you only have one lifetime.
Hmm.
You only have one lifetime. Like this is it, right?
Hmm.
And so the question is, do you go about it in the left brain way where you make the pro con list and you look at your responsibilities on one side and you look at the finances on the other and you like come at it in a very left brain perspective?
Hmm.
Or do you come at it from a right brain perspective where you go, the most important thing and the thing I'm trying to teach those around me is you have to be true to who you are and true to yourself.
Hmm.
And the imagery I got is of the Golden Gate Bridge. Maybe this is where the California thing came in from earlier. It was of the Golden Gate Bridge. Do you know what happened when they built the Golden Gate Bridge? Have you heard the story about the building of the Golden Gate Bridge?
No.
So when they built the Golden Gate Bridge, they sent all the men up to do, because it was men at that time period, right? They didn't send women up there to do it. Like there was only men building the Golden Gate Bridge. They would send the men up to like climb up, and it kept getting higher and higher as they were building, right? And the higher and higher it got, the more precarious the handholds and the more uncertain and the more scary it became. And a couple of people actually fell from the top because it was so scary, and then
Oh,
they died.
okay.
So the builders became more afraid after one person fell, and then they got more people falling because the more fear, the more challenging it became to go higher and higher as they're building the bridge. And as you know, it's a very tall bridge. Like it's overwhelming in its tallness in some ways.
Hmm.
So the people who were in charge put safety nets out so that whoever fell onto a safety net and
Hmm.
didn't fall into the river. Once those safety nets went up, nobody fell off the bridge again while they were building it. The belief in the safety net made them more confident to go forward and higher and do their job.
Hmm.
And nobody fell. They didn't even need the safety nets once they were put up. Like in reality, they could have taken them away, but they couldn't because psychologically they were necessary.
Hmm.
And so I feel like if you're going to head in the direction of your heart, right,
Hmm.
opposed to your head, I feel like you're going to need to put some safety nets in. I feel like you're going to have to like, how far like in for a penny, in for a pound, right? If I go in for a little bit, that means I'm like all the way in because I didn't take this other job. So like, how far am I going to push this before I say enough? Right? I feel like you're going to need to sit down maybe with a financial planner or sit down with somebody who's like really left brain oriented, maybe math oriented, to be like, how far are we going to go with this? How long are we going to give it before there's an end stop date?
Mm-hmm.
And then right, and then move forward. Like, okay, if I'm going to go with the safe job, I'm going with the safe job, and I'm just going to close the door to the heart job, right? I'm just going to do that. Right. I feel like it's a yes. I feel like it's not a yes and. I feel like it's an either or. I don't feel like you can do both at once. I feel like it's either you're going to do this or you're going to do that, and you don't have options.
Right.
And so I feel like if you're going to go with your heart, you're going to need to put those safety nets in place. Find your people, right? Those people that you have in your life who support you and love you and have your back. And then lay out the parameters of this much money out, this much money willing to lose, this much money I'm willing to like expend, or this is how long I'm willing to give it before I'll know if it's a thing, right? Whatever, however, I don't know. It feels more nebulous than it feels like this is more of a business venture on your own or with people, whereas the other one feels like an established company with like benefits and like, stock options and a pension. Right. And so I feel like the second option, the one that's more of your heart option, is the one that's really pulling at you. And every time you like, how you don't know how, like, hold on. My dad used to always say, when you're trying to make a hard decision like this, flip a coin. And if you flip the coin, and I'd be like, I don't want to know what the coin says. And he would be like, no. If you flip the coin and you get heads, and heads is the company job, right? You flip heads and you get the company job, and you realize you want to flip again, then you know what your heart is saying. You know what you really want to do.
Right.
So let's say you flip tails and you get your heart job, right? And it comes up and that's what you really want, and you're like okay with that. But you're not okay with that because the left part of your brain is like, this doesn't make sense, and I don't know how this works, and this is really scary, and I've never done anything like this before, and am I going to be okay enough, and am I going to be good enough, and am I just going to be enough? Or what if I'm too much? What if my analytical brain is just too much for this? So I would say make a pro-con list of all of the concerns about the heart job. And then find what are the safety nets you can put in place, and how long are you willing to try it out? And there are so many people jumping companies right now and figuring this out, that even if you give up the corporate, safe, practical job, it doesn't mean that won't come around again, right? There won't mean that there will be something else later down the road that might not be there. This opportunity, the heart opportunity, feels more like a now opportunity, right? Part of the problem is the door is only going to be open for a short period of time, which puts pressure on you to decide. And then once you've made that decision, right, it's either yes or no, and then that door closes, and you don't have a lot of options after. Like, you can't be like, can you give me 2 months to think about this? No, you don't really have 2 months to think about this. And so it feels sort of rushed to you, which also makes you hesitant, because where in life do you have a scenario where you don't have time to figure it out? Does this help?
I mean, it's very, very interesting how on the mark you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it help you parse your brain into the two categories in a better way? Is it helping your brain think about it differently?
I mean, I'm really interested in this analogy about the bridge and having a safety net. I think because it's not just about me, and like I have a family and I have a partner who would really like me to be financially responsible for the household, it's very difficult to do what I want to do.
Right.
And I'm not I'm not placing any blame. Obviously, if our positions were reversed, I would want my partner to also be financially responsible for the household and not for it all to fall on me. So I completely understand where he's coming from. It's just very hard because my heart is telling me this is what you should do. This is what makes you happy. I've been writing books and trying to sell them, and I've been completely unsuccessful. Like, marketing books myself has not gotten any sales. Does it make me completely happy and fulfilled? Yes, absolutely. Do I also need to support my family? Yes, absolutely. I do need to do that too. So it's like this really hard place where I want to really give writing books my all, but knowing how long it's been and that I haven't been successful makes me feel like I have no other option but to get a 9 to 5.
Right. And I'm thinking about the safety net too in this scenario, and what does that mean? And I'm wondering if that means a conversation of how much longer do we give this? How much longer do we give my hope and dream? And then there's also something popped in my head about his hope and dream, right? What is it that
Mhm,
he would love time and energy to do? And is there a way
mhm.
to like open the door for that for him as you're doing yours too?
I would say there is not.
There is not.
No. I think if I were to have a 9 to 5 that was bringing in, steady income, maybe there would be room for him to explore more. But as things stand right now, absolutely he can't.
Right. And so in a way, you're feeling pressure
Yeah.
to be that left brain
Yes.
focused, doing all
Absolutely.
of that. You're feeling a lot of pressure for that. Whereas the open, airy, expansive, heart fulfilling is not being encouraged.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm now feeling the before it felt open and expansive, but now I'm feeling more the borders. I'm feeling more the corner that you feel stuck in, right? That you're like, it's not a these are all options open to me. It actually feels the exact opposite now. It feels more, I feel hemmed in,
Yeah.
and I'm feeling pressured to make a decision that's better for other people more than that's good for me necessarily.
Right.
Have you had a I don't feel like you actually have a job lined up per se. Like, have you been
I
on
do not.
interviews? Like, have you been applying? I don't feel like you have.
I have been applying.
Okay.
I have been applying, but I have not gotten any callbacks.
Okay. I'm breathing into that. I'm sorry. And there's a big long pause. It's just me breathing into that and like all the thoughts in my head, and I'm trying to discern the one that's like the path to go down, right? Like
Hmm.
there was initially the thought of, well, let's see what happens, right? Let's see what doors open, because right now there's no doors opening anywhere in this moment in your life, right? I don't mean that to be funny, and I'm sorry if I'm laughing at that, but like
No, it's
it's
true.
there's like no doors at the moment. Like I'm seeing you in a corner, I'm not seeing you in a wide open space.
Right.
Um, do you have any personal practices? Do you walk in the woods? Do you sit and meditate? Do you
So I used to do yoga every single morning.
okay.
And then about 6 weeks ago, I got COVID, and it was a very long recovery.
Yes.
And it's only now that I'm in a space where I could do that again. But certain current events are making me feel so emotional that I haven't been able to work up the like energy to do that.
Right. Is there a way, here's makes me cry a little, I'm sorry. Is there a way to dedicate your yoga practice to the health of those who are struggling right now?
Um, I mean, the answer is yes, but I just don't see how it would help them.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you some sciencey things. If you take an atom and you split it
Mm-hmm.
and you hold the atom where you live, and I take the atom to that area of the world and you poke it,
Mm-hmm.
my atom in that area of the world will vibrate.
Okay.
If you take your atom and you don't poke it, but you only think about poking it, you only think about poking it,
Mm-hmm.
the atom in that area of the world will vibrate.
Okay.
So energy is fluid and transfers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though in our left brain, this doesn't make any sense how this would help,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally breathing, intentionally moving for peace, intentionally setting yourself in a space where you want clear headspace will help create clear headspace in the energy realm. And if you're sending it to a specific location, science says it'll get there.
Okay.
Was yoga grounding for you?
Yeah, very.
Okay. And it was releasing for you.
Yes.
And it helped you get rid of the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the time it helped.
Okay. Um, I'm wondering about why doors aren't opening in any area for you right now and where the block is coming from. And so I would encourage, because this is, you know, a quick little podcast, right?
Yeah.
I would encourage so I'm a trained social worker. By training, I'm a social
Mm-hmm.
worker. So of course I'm going to say the word therapy, right? Because that's, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I would also say hypnotherapy, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever explored before, but hypnotherapy has helped me remove a ton of blocks. Like I was deeply emotional about some stuff recently, and I'm no longer emotional about those things in
Okay.
one session. So hypnotherapy
Mm-hmm.
really, really changed things for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I also like I would say getting back into the yoga practice and the movement and imagining movement and peace in all areas of life. Your two crossroads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagining open doors. So as you're
Mm-hmm.
moving into especially a position that makes you feel stuck, right? You know, those tight positions that are really like, I forget the name of it, but I absolutely hate it. It's the one where you put your hand on the ground in front of you and your leg up in the air behind you.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? I
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
hate that position. It's like my
Okay.
least favorite. I need a block to do it, right?
Okay.
So like if I were to get myself into that position and I know I'm really uncomfortable and I feel like where you are is kind of an uncomfortable space, be like,
Mm-hmm.
this pose that makes me really uncomfortable is representation of my whole life at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to give it air. And by
Mm-hmm.
giving it air, I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to imagine that everything that is tight relaxes.
Mm-hmm.
And being intentional in that
Mm-hmm.
to bring in the decision. Because in all honesty, I can't tell you what to do. Right.
Right.
I feel like if you continue to pursue the writing, I'm afraid for your relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yes.
I fear that if you pursue what your relationships want you to do, um, your relationship with yourself may suffer.
Right.
And so I honestly like I don't feel comfortable giving you need to go left or right in this. I feel like more space is needed as you continue to apply and trust. And I don't know what source, the universe, God, I don't know what your term is for that, but
Right.
like as you apply, you're still writing, right? Like I did my 10 applications this morning, and now I'm going to go do my 50 pages.
Right.
Right. And I don't know when those 50 pages, I don't know if I'm going to get all 50 done today. Right. But I'm going to go work on those 50 pages today. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do 10 applications tomorrow morning, or I'm going to do applications to everything I can find on Indeed that's new that I haven't already applied for. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go continue writing. And then I'm going to go breathe and bring space and air into my space. And I'm going to go bring space and air into places in the world that don't have space right now. And just be authentically you for now, because I feel like you're like circling the airport, and we're just like we're looking for the opening, and we don't even have an opening at the moment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
understand why you feel stuck. I totally get why you feel shoved into a corner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim.
Oh, you are welcome. Yeah. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah. I
And if you
really,
want, I'd love to hear like in 6 months, right? How things went, how it all played out, right?
yes. Yes. I can definitely get back to you and let you know.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.